What if I told you that one of the most beloved sitcoms of the 1990s, the very show that made us laugh until our sides hurt and cry when the weight of its truths hit home, was also hiding some of the darkest secrets in television history? We all remember the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air as the lighthearted story of a West Philly kid who shook up life in Bel Air with charm and swagger. But behind those iconic dances, catchphrases, and theme song was a reality few fans knew about until now. From crushing financial struggles to bitter cast rivalries, painful stunts that left actors bruised, and personal sacrifices that could have broken even the strongest performers, the real story of the Fresh Prince is far heavier than the sitcom ever let on. And tonight, thanks to the voice of Ashley Banks herself, Tatiana Ali, we peel back the curtain on the hidden world behind one of TV's brightest success stories. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the notification bell because the secrets you're about to hear will change the way you watch this show forever. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming up next. When The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air debuted in 1990, nobody could have predicted that this quirky, colorful sitcom would go on to become one of the most defining cultural landmarks of the decade. On the surface, it was a classic fish-out-of-water story. Will Smith, a street-smart teen from Philadelphia, suddenly thrust into the pristine world of Bel-Air wealth. But beneath the jokes and stylish wardrobes, it was tackling issues that many other sitcoms wouldn't dare to touch. Racial profiling, gun violence, absentee parents, and class divisions all found their way into the show, woven seamlessly into comedy that didn't preach but taught through laughter and tears. This balance made Fresh Prince unique. It was funny, it was relatable, but it was also undeniably real. The show wasn't just entertainment. It became a social commentary wrapped in neon colors and unforgettable one-liners. Think about how many people still quote "smell ya later" or break into the Carlton Dance at weddings. These weren't just moments, they were cultural imprints. The fashion alone, Will's neon jackets, snapback hats, and Jordans defined 1990s streetwear and influenced generations. And then there was the music. Will's opening rap, burned into the brain of every fan, became an anthem of childhood. The show didn't just reflect the times, it shaped them. It brought Black representation to primetime television in a way that was both authentic and widely embraced, paving the way for future sitcoms to step boldly into social topics. And yet, while the laughter and lessons were making history, there was an entirely different story playing out behind the scenes. One filled with personal battles, contract disputes, and real-life pain that the actors carried even as they made the world laugh. At just 11 years old, Tatiana Ali stepped into the role of Ashley Banks, the youngest member of the Bel-Air clan, and what unfolded over the show's 6-season run was nothing short of remarkable. Audiences watched Ali transform from a wide-eyed child into a confident young woman, and her on-screen journey mirrored her real life in ways fans never knew until much later. Ashley began as the innocent piano-playing little sister, but as the seasons rolled on, her character faced first crushes, growing independence, and the terrifying yet thrilling steps toward adulthood. What made Ashley's story so powerful was how real it felt. She wasn't just written as comic relief or a background character. She embodied the coming-of-age struggles that so many young viewers identified with. Ali herself has said that some of the milestones Ashley experienced, like her first kiss on screen, were also her firsts in real life, blurring the line between performance and personal growth. This authenticity made Ashley one of the most beloved characters of the series, as she wasn't just playing a role, she was growing up in front of millions. Off the set, Ali was pursuing her own musical dreams, which eventually led to her breakout as a recording artist in the late 1990s. But within Fresh Prince, Ashley became a symbol of the show's ability to balance humor with relatable family dynamics. While Carlton was busy obsessing over Tom Jones and Hillary chased her dreams of fame, Ashley's journey was more grounded, more tender, and it resonated deeply. Yet, for all of the innocence and charm that Ali brought to her role, she too witnessed the tensions and pressures behind the cameras. Tensions she would one day speak out about, revealing how different life on set really was compared to the wholesome picture painted on screen. When The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air wrapped in 1996, many child actors from other shows struggled to escape the shadow of their most famous role. But Tatiana Ali proved she was more than Ashley Banks. Just 2 years later, she released her debut album Kiss the Sky, which went gold and featured the hit single Daydreamin'. Suddenly, she wasn't just the little sister from Bel Air. She was a charting musician with global recognition. But Ali wasn't satisfied with just chasing fame. While building her career, she enrolled at Harvard University and earned a degree in African American Studies and Government, showing the world that she valued knowledge and growth as much as the spotlight. Her post-Fresh Prince acting career took her through diverse roles, from teen comedies like Jawbreaker to inspirational films like Glory Road, proving she had the range to handle more mature performances. She also starred in the sitcom Love That Girl, carving out her own path in television apart from the Banks family legacy. More than just an actress and singer, Ali has used her platform to advocate for education and political engagement, speaking out on issues that matter and inspiring young fans who once grew up alongside Ashley Banks. But as she established her identity beyond Fresh Prince, Ali began opening up more about what life was really like on set, pulling back the curtain on the pressures, conflicts, and hidden truths that shaped her teenage years in front of America. Her willingness to speak candidly about both the triumphs and the difficulties has given fans a new perspective on the series, reminding us that the laughter we cherished often came at a cost for those performing it. When audiences first tuned into the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Will Smith seemed unstoppable, an effortlessly funny, cocky, and carefree teenager living large in a Bel-Air mansion. But behind the scenes, the reality was starkly different, and it was a reality that almost destroyed his career before it even began. Long before he became the Hollywood megastar we know today, Smith had already tasted early fame as part of the rap duo DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, racking up hits like Parents Just Don't Understand. But that success came with a shocking problem. Smith wasn't paying his taxes, and by the time NBC came calling, he owed the IRS a jaw-dropping $2.8 million. For a young man barely in his 20s, that debt was catastrophic, and his bank account was being drained by the government so fast that by the time he signed on to star in Fresh Prince, a staggering 70% of his salary for the first 3 years went straight back to Uncle Sam. Imagine playing a character who's living in luxury while you're personally drowning in debt. That was Will Smith's daily struggle, and nobody on the outside knew. The irony was painful on screen. He was the king of Bel-Air, a teenager without a care in the world, but off-screen he was desperately trying to climb out of financial ruin. This contrast added an invisible pressure on Smith, and while fans remember his jokes, dances, and playful rivalry with Carlton, he was quietly acting not just for fame but for financial survival. Tatiana Ali has since admitted that nobody really understood the depth of what Smith was going through back then, and it was only years later that fans learned the truth. Yet Smith's struggles became a turning point. Rather than collapse under the weight of debt, he leaned into the opportunity and transformed it into a stepping stone toward long-term success. That pain taught him discipline, and it gave him a seriousness about money and business that shaped his future career. Today, he's known for his financial savvy and blockbuster moves, but back then, every laugh you heard from him on screen was layered over financial desperation. And knowing this changes the way you see those early seasons. Every smirk, every joke, every wisecrack wasn't just comedy. It was survival. Of all the drama that surrounded the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, nothing has been more infamous than what fans now call the Aunt Viv switch. Janet Hubert, the original Aunt Vivian, embodied the role for the first 3 seasons with elegance, authority, and wit, becoming the strong matriarch that balanced Uncle Phil's sternness with warmth and intellect. But suddenly after season 3, she was gone, replaced by Daphne Maxwell Reid, leaving fans stunned and confused. For decades, the reason behind her abrupt exit remained clouded in rumors and whispers, but the truth, revealed years later, painted a picture of backstage turmoil, power struggles, and deep personal wounds. Hubert herself has claimed that producers pressured her with a reduced role and a significant pay cut despite the show's soaring success, and to her it was an insult she could not accept. Adding fuel to the fire was her tense working relationship with Will Smith, who by then was rapidly ascending to superstardom. Hubert has said she felt marginalized and even sabotaged, alleging that Smith and others painted her as difficult, a label that haunted her career long after she left the show. For years, she carried resentment, openly criticizing Smith and accusing him of using his influence to push her out, while Smith remained largely silent, brushing off questions with vague comments. The feud lasted nearly 30 years, with fans divided between loyalty to Hubert's powerful portrayal and the newer, softer version of Aunt Viv. But in 2020, during the highly anticipated reunion special, something remarkable happened. Smith and Hubert finally sat down face to face, addressing the bitterness and pain that had lingered for decades. In a raw and emotional conversation, Hubert revealed the struggles she endured, how the fallout from Fresh Prince damaged her reputation, limited her career opportunities, and left her battling personal despair, while Smith admitted his immaturity at the time, acknowledging that he hadn't handled the situation fairly. For fans, the reconciliation was cathartic, closing a wound that had festered for too long. But it also highlighted the darker truth about Hollywood, how power dynamics and behind-the-scenes politics can break even the strongest performers. Hubert's departure wasn't just a casting change. It was a symbol of how quickly fortunes can shift in the entertainment world. And it remains one of the most talked-about controversies in sitcom history. It's almost impossible to imagine the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air without Alfonso Ribeiro's Carlton Dance, the preppy, uptight cousin whose sweater vest's exaggerated politeness and ridiculous dance moves made him one of the show's most unforgettable characters. But what if I told you that Carlton nearly didn't exist as we know him? After the pilot was filmed, producers were reportedly unsure about Ribeiro's performance, and discussions were had about recasting the role entirely. Think about that for a moment. No Carlton Dance, no nerdy rivalry with Will, no Tom Jones obsession. Without Ribeiro, one of the show's most beloved elements would have vanished. Ribeiro himself has admitted in interviews that he was terrified when he learned he might be replaced, knowing that his dream role could slip away before it had even begun. The reasons producers hesitated remain unclear. Some speculated they thought his portrayal was too exaggerated. Others believed they weren't sure how audiences would respond to his uncool cousin energy. But ultimately, they decided to keep him, and it turned out to be one of the smartest casting decisions in sitcom history. Carlton became the perfect foil to Will. His uptight, rule-following nature clashed hilariously with Will's laid-back swagger, creating a comedic chemistry that became the backbone of the show. And then there was the dance, the now legendary Carlton Dance, performed to Tom Jones's It's Not Unusual, which Ribeiro created by blending moves from Courtney Cox and Eddie Murphy impressions. That goofy, over-the-top performance became one of the most iconic sitcom moments of the 1990s. And it never would have happened if the producers had gone through with their doubts. Looking back, it's chilling to realize how close we came to losing Carlton, because without him, the balance of Fresh Prince would have been drastically different. Ribeiro's journey from almost fired to fan favorite proves how fragile success in Hollywood can be. One executive decision can make or break a career, but thankfully in this case, fate sided with Ribeiro and television history was all the better for it. While The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air delivered some of the funniest physical comedy of the decade, those laughs often came at a painful cost to the actors who had to endure them. And few endured more than DJ Jazzy Jeff, who played Will's best friend Jazz. One of the show's most famous running gags was Uncle Phil tossing Jazz out of the Banks mansion, his body flying through the air before crashing on the pavement outside. And while this became one of the most instantly recognizable images in sitcom history, the truth is, it hurt. Literally. Jeff Towns, the real-life DJ Jazzy Jeff, has since admitted that those stunts left him bruised and sore, because the sequence had to be filmed over and over, with him landing hard on the same spot until he could barely move. Eventually, the toll became so severe that producers brought in a stunt double to take over, allowing the joke to continue without putting Jeff's body through more punishment. And it wasn't just Jeff. Will Smith himself often pushed his body to the limit for a laugh, throwing himself into high-energy dances, pratfalls, and wild physical routines that left him exhausted and sometimes injured. Alfonso Ribeiro, too, with the exaggerated Carlton Dance, would rehearse and perform to the point of physical strain because the audience expected that over-the-top commitment every time. What fans saw as comedy gold was for the actors a grueling and sometimes dangerous effort to sell the humor with authenticity. This side of the show highlights a rarely acknowledged truth about sitcoms. While they may look effortless on screen, they often require a physicality and endurance that's punishing on the body, especially when repeated for multiple takes. The Fresh Prince was no exception, and the cast gave everything, even their physical comfort, to make sure the show became as iconic as it did. Knowing now that the famous jazz toss wasn't just a funny gag but a painful, bruising ordeal adds a darker, more human layer to the laughter, reminding us that the price of entertainment isn't always visible in the final cut. For Tatiana Ali, growing up on the set of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air meant navigating the awkward milestones of adolescence in front of millions. And perhaps none was more personal than her first kiss. What fans saw as just another sweet coming-of-age storyline for Ashley Banks was, in fact, Ali's very first kiss in real life, making the moment nerve-wracking and deeply personal. Imagine being a teenager, facing that vulnerable rite of passage, but instead of it happening in private with someone you trust, it happens under the bright lights of a soundstage, in front of cameras, crew members, and fellow castmates. Ali has described the experience as both exciting and overwhelming, with her nerves heightened by the pressure of getting it right on camera while simultaneously living through a moment most people get to experience privately. This blending of on-screen storylines and real-life experiences was something that defined her years on the show, whether it was exploring first crushes, teenage rebellion, or the pursuit of independence. Much of Ashley's journey was mirrored by Ali's own personal growth. For young viewers watching in the 1990s, this made Ashley incredibly relatable, because she wasn't just a character written by adults. She was a real young girl experiencing the same confusing, awkward, and emotional milestones they were. But behind the relatability was also a reminder of how demanding and invasive the entertainment industry can be, especially for child stars. Every step of Ali's adolescence was scrutinized, rehearsed, and immortalized on film, leaving little room for privacy. While fans cherished Ashley's growth as one of the most authentic arcs on the show, the reality was that Ali had to sacrifice her own privacy and experience life milestones on display for the world. It's a bittersweet revelation. On one hand, she gave us some of the most heartfelt moments of the series, but on the other, it cost her a personal intimacy that most teenagers take for granted. Today, when Ali reflects on that first kiss, it's not with embarrassment but with an understanding of how much she gave of herself to the show and its audience. And that honesty has made her revelations about the Fresh Prince all the more poignant. When these behind-the-scenes revelations finally began surfacing, Tatiana Ali's vulnerable stories, Will Smith's hidden debt, Janet Hubert's painful departure, and the physical toll endured by the cast, fans were shocked. But they were also deeply moved, because suddenly the glossy sitcom they grew up loving was reframed as a story of resilience, conflict, and sacrifice. Social media buzzed with empathy and disbelief as fans revisited episodes, now noticing small details with new eyes. The way Will Smith carried himself in the early seasons while secretly battling the IRS, or the subtle tension in scenes between Hubert's Aunt Viv and Will after their off-screen relationship soured. For many, this knowledge made the show more powerful, not less, because it underscored the professionalism of the cast. They delivered joy to millions while enduring private pain. The reconciliation between Smith and Hubert during the 2020 reunion special was especially impactful, with countless viewers calling it one of the most emotional moments in television nostalgia history. Seeing two people who had once been at bitter odds come together in understanding and forgiveness was cathartic, not just for them but for fans who had carried the weight of the feud for decades. Beyond fan reactions, these stories sparked bigger conversations about Hollywood itself, about the treatment of black actors in the 1990s, about the financial pressures young stars face, and about the unseen labor, both emotional and physical, that goes into creating entertainment. Industry analysts and cultural commentators noted how The Fresh Prince wasn't unique in having these struggles, but because it was so beloved, its revelations carried extra weight, forcing audiences to confront the darker realities of show business. And yet, even with these truths revealed, the affection for the series has only grown stronger, because knowing the struggles behind it makes its success all the more impressive. Fans today don't just see it as a sitcom, they see it as a testament to perseverance, talent, and the ability to create joy, even in the face of hardship, which is why The Fresh Prince continues to resonate across generations. Even with all the turmoil, financial struggles, personal sacrifices, and backstage feuds that shaped the journey of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, what remains undeniable is its colossal impact on television and culture, an impact that refuses to fade even decades after the final episode aired. The show wasn't just a sitcom, it was a generational blueprint that changed how audiences viewed black families on screen, and proved that stories rooted in African American culture could resonate universally across the globe. From Will's vibrant, hip-hop-inspired fashion that made neon jackets and high-top fades mainstream, to Carlton's exaggerated preppiness that turned sweater vests into comedy gold, the aesthetic of Fresh Prince continues to ripple through modern streetwear and vintage trends. Linguists have studied its dialogue and catchphrases for how it pushed elements of African American vernacular English into the cultural mainstream. with lines like "Smell ya later" still quoted by fans who weren't even alive during its original run. And then of course there's the theme song. Those opening bars delivered by Will Smith himself are instantly recognizable across generations. One of the few TV themes to transcend the show and embed itself as a pop culture anthem. The show's influence even extends to music and meme culture. The Carlton Dance is not only replayed endlessly at weddings and sporting events, but also has been immortalized online, recreated in viral videos, and referenced in video games. What makes this even more powerful is that Fresh Prince didn't just ride nostalgia, it redefined it with the dramatic reboot. Bel-Air bringing the story to a new generation, proving that the core themes of family, class tension, race, and identity are still as relevant today as they were in the 90s. The cast themselves have gone on to varied paths. Will Smith, of course, became one of the biggest Hollywood stars alive. Alfonso Ribeiro carved out a career in hosting and dancing. Karen Parsons created educational content, and Tatiana Ali not only continued acting but used her platform for advocacy and political engagement. Their reunion in 2020 with Janet Hubert finally reconciling with Smith was more than just nostalgia, it was closure, it was healing, and it reminded the world why this series mattered so much. Despite everything, the debt, the pain, the stunts, the arguments, the laughter endured, and the lessons endured. The show became a time capsule of 1990s America. But it also became timeless. Still streaming, still quoted, still danced to, still loved. That's the paradox of the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Its darkest secrets don't weaken its legacy. They strengthen it because they remind us that behind every flawless performance is a human being fighting battles we never see. And maybe that's why the show continues to inspire. Because its magic wasn't just in the scripts or the jokes, but in the resilience of the people who made it. And there you have it. The untold truths, the struggles, the pain, and the triumphs behind one of the greatest sitcoms in television history. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air may have been filled with laughs, dances, and unforgettable moments. But knowing what we know now, it's also a story of survival, resilience, and reconciliation. It wasn't just about Will moving from Philly to Bel-Air. It was about real actors moving through real struggles while still giving us joy. So the next time you hear that iconic theme song or see someone break into the Carlton Dance, you'll know there's so much more beneath the surface. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the hidden side of the Fresh Prince, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the stories they didn't want you to know. Drop a comment below and tell us your favorite Fresh Prince moment or which secret shocked you the most. Because the legacy of this show isn't just in reruns. It lives on in us, the fans, who still carry it forward. This is more than nostalgia. This is history, and the story is still being written.